What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Vanquish Soul archetype from the upcoming Wild Survivors deck build pack. Now, we did talk about the dinos already, I believe, Xeno Meteoros, in a previous video, so you guys can check that out, and I did not get a chance yet to touch on the new Valise archetype, which does feature our boy Hungry Burger. I am very, very excited for that archetype because it does seem really fun, although I haven't been able to find a build that actually does a whole lot just yet. But Vanquish Soul, it was the one that people were most excited about just from like an artwork perspective and a potential for the archetype. And we finally got the reveals, so let's dive into the video. Alright, before we get any further into the video, I just want to ask you guys, if you do enjoy the videos I make here, and of course the content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon if you want to be notified whenever new videos are uploaded. I do try to put stuff out as often as I can to go ahead and keep up to date with new releases. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the video today, and like I said, we are talking about Wild Survivors. This set is set to release later this summer in the TCG, but we'll be releasing in the OCG very soon. And the Vanquish Soul archetype as a whole just has some incredibly cool artwork, and the concept actually seems rather neat. So we're going to go through them. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below of this archetype as a whole, and just overall which of the three from Wild Survivors you're most excited about. We start things off with Vanquish Soul Kaiser Various. This is one of the guys on the cover, and the artwork on this is probably my favorite out of all the ones we've seen so far. It is a level 8 Earth Dragon, and it says, during the main phase, quick effect, you can target one non-dragon vanquishing soul monster you control. Return it to the hand, and if you do, special summon this card. Quick effect. Reveal the appropriate monster or monsters in your hand to activate one of these effects. Reveal an earth monster. This face-up card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects this turn. Reveal an earth, a fire, and a dark monster. Destroy one other card on the field. You can only use each effect once per turn, and you cannot activate them in the same chain. This is really cool because it's been a while since we've gotten something that's like not only attribute-based, but like being able to reveal things to activate different effects. So from a concept and building perspective, this is an interesting archetype on the surface. That revealing an earth to give itself blanket protection is pretty good. It's like a mini Psychic and Punisher, if you will. And I think some of the other monsters in the archetype are earth as well, so you will have the ability to resolve that pretty easily. Now, I don't know how often you're going to have an earth, a fire, and a dark to reveal, because based on the way it's worded, you have to reveal 3, but being able to destroy a card on the field is certainly not bad, and it's non-targeting destruction, so there's a bit of a element of I can't even think of the word. There's an element of like effectiveness to it that is neat versus if it was just like target a monster on the field, destroy it, because obviously the opponent could get rid of it. So I like this on the surface as the sort of boss monster for the deck. It's really cool, and it's certainly not hard to summon. And the blanket protection seems like it might be one of the best things that it has going for it. But of course, you can never look beyond non-targeting removal. Next up, we've got Vanquish Soul Pluton HG. I'm not even really sure what's going on with the artwork here, but it is a level 6 fire zombie, and it says during your opponent's turn, if you control no monsters in the main monster zone, or if you only control Vanquish Soul monsters in the main monster zones, you can special summon this card from your hand. That is a quick effect. You can reveal the appropriate monsters in your hand to activate one of these effects. One fire monster. This card gains 3,000 in defense until the end of the turn. One dark and one earth monster. This card gains 3,000 attack until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn, and you cannot activate them in the same chain. So definitely a lot less powerful than the first one. I guess the defense boost is kind of neat, but like realistically speaking, this is probably going to get popped just I mean, in other words, a defense boost in 2023 Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not going to be some kind of game-changing thing that you really have to worry about too much if you're the opponent. Being able to have it gain 3,000 attack is certainly kind of neat, just as a quick way to beat over some things if you need, but it's really best thing it has going for it seems to be that it's just like another name and or an extender. I don't really think this card is all that great on the surface, and it doesn't really do anything to advance your game state, so I can't say I'm super excited about it. I guess being able to summon it freely just as an extender or if you don't control anything is neat. And it is a level 6 you can special summon just if you control no monsters. So maybe in other decks there's some application there for, you know, Xyz plays or Link plays. I don't know. But that's what you got. Next up, Vanquish Soul Dr. Madlove. This is a level 4 Dark Fiend, so really good typing and attributes. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Vanquish Soul spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Quick effect, reveal the appropriate monsters in your hand, activate one of these effects. Reveal a dark monster, one face-up monster your opponent controls loses 500 attack and defense. Reveal a dark and an earth, return one face-up monster on the field with the lowest defense to your hand. Your choice if tied. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn and not in the same chain. Again, definitely a step down from the first monster that we saw. Being able to, reduce an opponent's monster's attack permanently is, like, niche, I guess, but it's kind of bad. And then bouncing something's not horrible, especially because, again, it's non-targeting, and this thing having 2,000 defense does mean it's not likely going to be the one that gets bounced. It's just not... I guess if it's the only monster you control, you can, like, bounce it and then summon it again and search for another spell or trap on the next turn. I don't know. I'm trying to find some practicality here. I guess being a searcher is decent, and just sort of being able to bounce some stuff is solid. But again, the reliance on having enough specific attributes in hand to be able to resolve these effects, and also hoping that you can get the most out of them, is just a bit, a bit tricky. I'm just not sure how well this is all going to work out. Alright, next up we've got Vanquish Soul Razen. It is a level 4 Fire Warrior monster, and it says if this card is normal or special summon, you can add one non-warrior Vanquish Soul monster from your deck to your hand. In quick effect, you can reveal the appropriate monsters in your hand to activate one of these effects. If you reveal a fire monster, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects this turn. If you reveal a fire and a dark monster, destroy all other monsters in this card's column. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn. So this one's pretty good for a lot of reasons. Being a warrior means it's searchable by Rhoda and other generic warrior support. It does get you any of the other Vanquish Soul monsters from the deck because they all have different typing, so it can basically search anything except a copy of itself, meaning you could actually get what you need specifically to be able to utilize its effects. And card effect protection is solid. I don't know how often it's going to come up, but certainly against a, random lightning storm or board wipe of some kind, having the ability to protect at least something is not, terrible. And then the column destruction, I mean, it's alright if your opponent's playing a link strategy or something where you can summon this in his own and then pop two other things, but I don't know that the deck is really geared towards columns specifically. It doesn't really seem like there's been any other column interaction up to this point, so I don't know what the reasoning or rationale be towards including that, but I guess, being able to pop something if you place it in the right spot is decent. But again, it's a searcher, it's an in-archetype searcher, and it's a warrior, so it does have that going for it as a really solid option for the deck. Now, Vanquish Soul Panthera. This card has the internet going crazy for reasons, and it's level 4 Beast Warrior effect, and it says if you control no monsters in the main monster zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. Quick effect, you can reveal the appropriate monsters in your hand to activate one of these effects. If you reveal an earth monster, it can't be destroyed by battle this turn, and if you reveal a fire and an earth monster, you can destroy all spells, traps in this card's column, and of course, hard once per turn on all of those effects. This is not bad at all either. It's a free special summon if you control no monster, so it's sort of a play starter that allows you to have just more than one Vanquish Soul out. The battle thing is kind of like completely lackluster, but the spell and trap destruction, I mean, there are ways you could maybe destroy your own spells and traps with this too, and kind of like trigger some things that actually want to be popped in conjunction with your opponent's stuff being popped. One thing that came to mind is like the artifact stuff. I mean, Scythe is banned now, but like, pop an artifact and then special it to the field and trigger its effect. Because this is a quick effect, again, it's just, I'm really kind of grasping for straws for, different things you can do. I don't think these cards are bad by any stretch. I'm just waiting to see where they all kind of come together, and I'm just not seeing it yet, but maybe you guys will feel differently about it. Let me know in the comments down below, like, what you think. Am I missing the mark on these a bit, just giving my sort of initial impressions? But Panthera's not bad. I think the level 4s are decent. I think, unfortunately, the level 6 is pretty rough, and the other level 4, which is the Fiend, is not super great either. Now, we do have a Link 1, which is obviously a good thing. Rock of Vanquisher, and it is a Link 1 that needs one Vanquish Soul monster. It can't be used as Link material, so obviously you can't just, like, ladder into multiple copies or whatever. While you control the Vanquish Soul monster, your opponent's monsters can only target your monster with the highest attack for attacks. During the main phase, quick effect, you can activate one of these effects. Special summon a Vanquish Soul monster from your hand, or add one Vanquish Soul monster from your graveyard to your hand. So, as is the case with most Link 1s, this is really solid for multiple reasons. Being able to special summon something from hand does allow you to sort of fix some of those issues, but adding one back from graveyard to hand does allow you to pick an attribute that you need to have in your hand to activate effects and add it back. So it's a Link 1, it basically gives, you can sort of control to an extent, what your opponent's attacking and not attacking. And because that is a quick effect, you can summon it during your turn, special something, or grab something back, and then when it passes to your opponent's turn, you can get another thing back, which does obviously allow you some setup, so you can get, you know, a decent amount of use out of this card. It's cool, it's a Link 1, and it's definitely a solid card for the deck, but again, I'm still waiting to see where everything gets pulled together. Now, Vanquish Soul Continue is a quick play spell, and it says pay 500 life points, then target one Vanquish Soul monster in your graveyard. Either add it to your hand or special summon it in defense position. You can only activate one card with this name per turn. This card did not need a once per turn restriction. If this card was actually a as often as you like per turn, you know, quick play, I think it would have been really good for the deck, because you're already kind of sacrificing, you know, consistency and resources when you want to, you know, have as many specific attributes in your hand as possible, and granted, you only have a certain amount of cards in your starting hand. So being able to, like, set up a board is going to be challenging in and of itself. This is a solid card, and again, I just don't think that restriction is necessary. I do like that you can get stuff back to hand, again, so that you can, like, manipulate the attribute stuff. It's just, it's still suffering from this issue of, like, not really doing all that much going first, and kind of hoping that you're able to get a specific combination of attributes in order to really maximize what you can do with the card. Vanquish Soul Dust Devil, which I'm pretty sure is also the name of a vacuum, is a quick play spell that says target one Vanquish Soul monster you control, change its battle position, then you can change face-up monsters your opponent controls to face-down defense position up to the number of Vanquish Soul monsters you control with different names. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. So, this is like a Book of Eclipse, but it's in Archetype, so I guess it is searchable, and obviously Book of Eclipse is pretty good against the current meta, especially with Kashtira and other decks running around. But being that you can only change so many, and that you also have to control a Vanquish Soul to do it, it's a little bit trickier than I'd like. I'm not super sure that this is a better option than Book of Eclipse anyway, but it does have the benefit of, like, your opponent not getting to draw, so maybe you can disrupt plays. If you didn't have to control a monster to use it, or if there was a way to, like, reveal a Vanquish Soul in the hand or something, maybe it would be better, because you could at least, you know, play around the Kashtira board locks. But as it stands, this just kind of feels like pack filler, and I do not think it's very good. If you guys disagree with me, certainly let me know. Vanquish Soul Trinity Burst is a normal trap that says target one Vanquish Soul monster you control, special summon up to 2 Vanquish Soul monsters from your hand with different names from each other and different attributes from the targeted monster, but their effects are negated. Also return them to the hand during the end phase. Then you can return all cards to your opponent's hand in that target and the summon monsters columns to the hand. So this is kind of neat. So basically, if you have a Vanquish Soul, you target it, you special summon 2 more, and then you can bounce everything the opponent controls in 3 columns, because you summoned the 3 different, you know, the Vanquish Soul you targeted, and then the other 2. So it actually can be kind of neat. Again, I guess this is another way they're bringing the column stuff together, but it's not like they can move columns or anything like that. I don't hate it, but again, you're specialing from hand, meaning you need to have things in hand, and you're also hoping that, you know, the thing is, like, a lot of these Vanquish Soul cards are going to be kind of dead in hand most of the time, and really only the dragon is going to do something disruptive in a significant fashion. Like, you have the ability to pop monsters, you have the ability to pop spells and traps, and it's good, but your opponent could easily play around that by putting things in different columns. At least a card like this, you can kind of surprise play it, drop things in whatever columns, and then wipe stuff. So there is that, like, element of it. It's a neat card from a design perspective, and I guess, you know, being able to special summon stuff from hand, it technically can also help push for game, because it doesn't say anything about the monsters attacking, it just negates their effects. I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't exactly have the highest of expectations for it either. And finally, we've got Vanquish Soul Calamity Kaiser, just another incredible artwork. They really did nail it with this archetype, just from a art perspective specifically. It's a counter trap when your opponent activates a spell trap or monster effect that targets a card you control. While you control a Vanquish Soul monster, negate the activation if you do destroy that card. Then you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of one Vanquish Soul monster you control. Man, if you guys heard me sigh as I was recording this, it's because I just read the targets a card you control part. Why, it did not need that. It absolutely did not need that. That restriction makes this card completely garbage, in my opinion. It's just, like, specifically targeting stuff. I know it happens a little bit more nowadays, but still, there's so many ways to get around things without targeting, and it's an archetype specific trap, and there's other archetypes that are way better, that have way less restrictive traps. If this was just negate a spell trap or monster effect while you control a Vanquish Soul monster and was still limited to a hard once per turn, it would be so much better, especially because it's searchable. But this is not very good. It's just way too restrictive there. So honestly, it really comes back to Kaiser Various being the best one, and even then, it's not incredible. However, This is a neat card, and I mean, it'd be cool if they expanded upon this archetype in, like, future sets and stuff and gave them some things to actually make them work, because I can see on the surface, like, where certain elements of the archetype could be bridged together with, like, specific support, but as it stands right now, I have to say I am quite disappointed. I don't think it's all that great. I like the art, but I think the archetype as a whole is pretty lackluster, and I would go as far as to say it might even be the weakest of the 3 archetypes in Wild Survivors. Maybe you guys will feel differently. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.